Hi everyone, Sunsider here, and if you're playing Burgeon Team Com or planning to build one, this video might spark your interest. Yes, as you have seen on the thumbnail, today's video will be discussing Burgeon Team Com with Yanfei. Might sound a bit off-grid as normally people are playing Burgeon Team Com with Toma, or at least that's what I hear from the community. As a content creator, however, I need to bring a new or entirely different perspective to the community, and that's how this video is made. Why Yanfei? Well, simply because she's a ranged pyro unit that I currently have lying around in my inventory, and if you take a look at her passive, she does have the potential to be a fun pyro unit to trigger the Burgeon with her increased crit rate and bonus pyro damage. Honestly, I myself wasn't sure about this, but after playing her to clear some dungeon and clearing world bosses, I guess she's a fun unit to play. How? Let's jump into the more detailed explanation of the video. But before we go to the video, please subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed my content, as it helps me in growing and encourages me to grow my channel. Thank you. Yanfei is a 4-star pyro unit who uses catalyst and crit rate increasing mechanic via her stamina consumption. Honestly, I'm not 100% sure how to spend my resources on her because obviously nobody talk about her in any of the current meta Team Com, and as resources are scarce in the game, I have to be very careful in spending mine. But I'm not going to be blindly building her without any further consideration. Yes, I'm building her backed by the new artifacts that provide 40% bonus Burgeon damage. Personally, I never used the new artifacts since its release, and I think it's a good time to finally test my idea on an off-meta unit with relatively new artifacts. When I searched for her best build, some resources says to use her with the Burning Witch artifacts, which I think totally makes sense given that she's a pyro unit and this video will be the one to decide which one is the best. Her talents, passive, and constellations seems to be a straightforward one, where she'll get the following bonuses when she does a charge attack from her talent. Proficio gets 5% bonus pyro damage every time she consumes Scarlet Shields by using her charge attack for 6 seconds, and Blazing Eye, when Yanfei charge attack deals crit hit to opponents, she will deal additional AoE pyro damage up to 80% of her attack. Based on those two facts, I think it's very clear how straightforward her build is. Talking about weapon choices, if I may be honest with you guys, I don't actually know what catalyst to use on her because all of my catalyst user characters have always used the wild set, and I've never complained about this catalyst performance, though it takes pure luck to get one of its 3 buffs. To make it clear for you, I did some research on the best catalyst for her and here's my take on it. Sacrificial Fragments. First 4-star options for Yanfei. Sacrificial Fragment is great on Yanfei because this weapon can reset an elemental skill duration. This is something that greatly favors Yanfei as it allows her to cycle her elemental skill faster and decrease her stamina consumption. Royal Grimoire. As this weapon provides an 8% crit rate increase, I think this weapon can be used on Yanfei because she can deal additional AoE pyro damage whenever her attack crits, so the more crit, the better. Eye of Perception. Honestly, I put this one on the list because this is the one that's currently free and after some reading seems to work well with Yanfei's skill. I personally haven't used this one yet on my Yanfei, but if we regard this weapon mechanic, I guess it works well on her. Dodoko Tails. Never heard of this one, but out of the previous 2 on her weapon recommendation, Dodoko Tails seems to be the one that can really bring out Yanfei's potential through its mechanic of increasing charge attack damage by 16% when normal attack hit opponent, and charge attack that hit opponents increase attack by 8%. Lost Barrier to the Sacred Winds, the only 5-star that made it to the list thanks to its good crit rate substats that will more likely to help Yanfei get the most out of her Blazing Eye passive. That's what I found so far based on my research. If you think that you have another catalyst in mind or if there's some that I missed, feel free to comment below. I'd love to talk about artifacts after weapons, however, since I'm going to talk about 3 different artifacts, I'll save the best part for later and more than happy to talk about my Burgeon Yanfei Team Com. As I'm running her as a Burgeon Pyro DPS, the most suitable lineup for her are units that allows her to do charge attack from a safe distance, which translates to crowd control on top of bringing a good dendro unit and hydro player. With that in mind, I'm bringing my Sucrose, Nahida, and Mona to complete my Yanfei. To start our Team Com rationale, I'd like to present my perspective on Mona in the middle of a Burgeon Team Com. Before Yanfei, I've played Burgeon Team Com with Mona as the Hydro player when I came back to Genshin Impact. As fun as it was, we all know that Burgeon deals damage to our character as well, and since my strong pyro unit back then was Diluc, I had to throw the idea of Burgeon early on in patch 3.0. Now that I have a ranged fun pyro unit to play, I'm happy to see my Mona back again in this specific Team Com. Aside from being a Hydro player, her elemental skill also taunts the enemy and provides additional crowd control to the team. For my main crowd control, I'm bringing my longtime NMO support back to the game, Sucrose. I could bring another dendro unit to further increase my damage potential, but considering Yanfei's charge attack that takes time from the hammer to materialize and hit the ground, bringing crowd control that use Thrilling Tales of Dragon Slayer increase my chance to finish the mob faster or deal more damage after I set up and switch to cross with Yanfei. The final piece for this Burgeon team comp will be the dendro applier itself, and you're right, it's Nahida for me. I mean, it's super obvious when we talk about the best dendro applier right now, and that's with a reason. For my Burgeon team comp, Nahida allows my Mona to produce as many dendro cores as possible. I think we all can agree that this step is crucial in Burgeon team comp as it determines the effectiveness of a unit rotation. I mean, the more dendro cores there are, the more we are going to enjoy Burgeon team comp, right? The way I normally play this team composition is to have Nahida do what she do best by applying dendro, then followed up by Mona's Hydro application, and Town, Sucrose then jump in with her crowd control, pulling the enemy along with dendro cores closer, and last but not least, Yanfei comes with her charge attack, and boom. After talking about the weapon choices and artifacts, this is the moment of truth for Yanfei enjoyer out there, or for you to finally see which artifacts works best for Yanfei. And to start this discussion, I'm going to present to you my findings on the Flower of Paradise Lost, or widely known as the Burgeon artifacts. But before I present to you my findings, I'd like to remind you that I use the Wild Seed, and depending on the buff that we get when we switch characters, it might elevate the damage and show different damage numbers.
Knowledge.
Okay, Flower of Paradise Lost.
On the 4 sets bonus, this artifact will give a 40% increased damage on Burgeon and Hyper Bloom reaction to the equipping character. When we use this to produce Bloom and to trigger Burgeon Hyper Bloom, we'll get an additional 25% damage increase that lasts for 10 seconds and can be stacked 4 times.
Just by the definition alone, I think you can see the potential of this artifact on Yanfei. In practice, when we pair this artifact potential with my level 10 Nahida's 3 Karma, she can reach up to 18k damage in one single elemental trigger. But of course, there's the wild seed that we have to consider as well, and when I slowed down the video, we can see the area is the one that triggered here, giving a total of 48% elemental damage bonus. If I'm being lucky and able to get that interlude buff on Nahida and Yanfei, then there's a bigger chance that the damage output is higher than the current 18k that I'm dishing out at the moment. Moving on to the Burning Witch. Now that this artifact is updated to better cater to the needs of characters who use this set, there's a 40% damage bonus when we trigger Burgeon reaction. Initially, when I first see this updated description, I'm seeing my Yanfei as a one-hit type of unit because there's no attack increase that can be stacked like the Paradise Lost set. In terms of damage, the Burning Witch artifact set is second to the Paradise Lost. The number one factor that made Burning Witch second is due to the damage output that even boosted by Nahida's interlude Wild Seed buff that provides a 240, the Elemental Mastery could only reach 15k damage. On an interlude buff on Yanfei, the Burning Witch could only do additional 1k damage to the Burgeon explosion damage from 15k to 16k damage. I think this is how the Burning Witch indirectly tells us what its description would look like. 40% damage bonus on triggering Burgeon reaction, and that's it. Last but not least, the Shimenawa's Reminiscence. Do you guys remember how I told you that this artifact set is the bread and butter for Yanfei? Well, I guess I have to scrap that idea away because of 2 considerations. First, in order for me to get the most out of my Shimenawa Reminiscence, I have to use elemental skill first in order for this artifact set to provide 50% charge damage increase. As my Yanfei's elemental talent is still on a low level, then the initial damage won't be as good as the previous artifact sets. And 2, I will just be playing plain Burning Witch, but more reliant on charge attack and crit rate. Still, the charge attack damage is one of the best out of the previous 2, but as its video specialized in Burgeon elemental reaction, then I'm sorry Shimenawa, but you're out. To conclude my rationale on the artifact set, I guess it's pretty much decided that Flower of Paradise Lost is the most favorable one for Yanfei Burgeon team comp. If we take into consideration what this artifact set does on top of the consideration that I've made previously, then it's super obvious why. While we can get the 40% Burgeon damage bonus on the Burning Witch, Flower of Paradise Lost provides an additional 25% damage increase for 10 seconds and can be stacked 4 times. I'm yet to see the additional 25% in action because most of the enemies that I flag die before I could cycle to the next rotation. Now that I've covered every single thing about Yanfei, from her weapon choices, Burgeon team composition, and best artifact set, my conclusion on her is great and fun to play with. Not only in clearing mobs, in terms of daily use, she's able to mine that magic crystal that normally needs a claymore to break. The rest is Yes, the rest is still under discoveries because as you know, resources are scarce in this game, and as a small-time content creator, I have to plan my resources carefully. Hopefully, this impression video might become something of an entertainment for you or inspiration to say the least in case you are planning to build your own Burgeon Yanfei. What do you guys think? Do you think that Yanfei stood a chance in being a Burgeon driver unit, or it's just simply hopium on her side? Comment below and let's discuss.